So aside from that, I couldn't remember Avi Loeb, his actual title, but I did remember that he was talking about Oumuamua as a light sail or some sort of like actual extraterrestrial artifact. So let's read some of this. This is again from Business Insider, and there's some really good stuff here. So headline: a Harvard professor has claimed in his new book that alien debris passed near Earth in 2017. It has attracted both skepticism and intrigue. And now the interesting part about this is we talked about this ad nauseum on the Troubled Minds podcast, because it was happening when we first started this. And so we were watching very closely, looking at the science and whether they called it a comet or a meteorite or whatever it was, but it was the very first interstellar object that we detected. And even Stephen Hawking, just before he passed away, they saw this coming in. He saw the data, and he noted that this was a chance of a lifetime for us to actually try and learn as much about this as possible, because this could be something to the effect of extraterrestrial life or something like this. So anyway, so Avi Loeb, here we go. So scientists in 2017 detected the first sign of intelligent life outside Earth, according to a new book by Avi Loeb, a Harvard University professor. The rocky cigar-shaped object with a somewhat reddish hue was called 1I/2017 Oumuamua, was the nickname, right? And so Oumuamua was kind of a translation of because they discovered it from the Hawaiian Observatory. So it's a Hawaiian translation of rough translation of a scout from the past or something like this, right? That's what Oumuamua means, and that's why they named it this. But it was the first interstellar object. Here we go. So there was only one conceivable explanation. The object was a piece of advanced technology created by a distant alien civilization, according to publisher Houghton Mifflin Harcourt. And so yeah, that's this is again why a Harvard professor gets a lot of headlines like this, because he's unafraid to make these types of speculations. But there's a lot of really weird stuff. If you guys aren't familiar with Oumuamua, do look into it. You may be surprised at some of the things. The mass calculations possibly indicated that it was very, very thin, possibly like an inch thin or less type of thing. It was rotating on 3 axes. It actually accelerated as it kind of came around the sun and then went back out around Jupiter. It actually started accelerating again, and they couldn't really call it sublimation like a comet. So a comet basically comes around the sun. The ice on it melts in space with no friction. The ice melting off of the object would cause it to accelerate, right? Slightly, ever so slightly. It's like the water vapor kind of melting off into space, gives it the tiniest push. But if there's a lot of this coming off, that's sublimation from a comet. It's able to give them a little speed boost or push them in a slightly different direction, this type of thing. But they couldn't really, the math didn't work out, because it was actually spinning on 3 axes, and it had like this weird mass signature where they thought it was super thin. So a lot of times, and let's go back up to the top here, this is what you saw given what the press reported at the time. It was kind of like a long, skinny object, right? And so this is what you saw, artist illustrations. It looked like a cigar-shaped thing. But according to the math, they said that it's possible that it was even much more thin than that, which led Avi Loeb to speculate it was some sort of a light sail. So here we go. Let's read from this article here. An extraterrestrial object skimmed through space close to Earth in 2017, wrote a Harvard University astronomer, Avi Loeb, in a book to be published this month. It was the first sign of intelligent life outside Earth, according to Loeb. Scientists at a Hawaiian observatory saw an object soaring through our inner solar system, moving so quickly that it could only have been from another star, according to the marketing summary for the Houghton Mifflin Harcourt book called Extraterrestrial, the first sign of intelligent life beyond Earth. The object wasn't a natural occurrence, but a bit of space junk ejected by another galaxy, according to Loeb, a professor of science with a doctorate in physics. Quote, there was only one conceivable explanation. The object was a piece of advanced technology created by a distant alien civilization, according to the publisher of the book here. And I'll give you the link to the book if you guys are interested. So in a review, Publishers Weekly called the book a contentious manifesto, which, right, of course. Why wouldn't it be? You bring up aliens, and especially a guy from Harvard who's well respected in the world, and that's what you get, a contentious manifesto. But Loeb wasn't alone in his excitement about the object, which was called, again, Oumuamua by NASA. So just for short, it had a longer name, but it was the first interstellar object that we saw actually come into the solar system here. So, okay, cool. The first confirmed object from another star to visit our solar system. This interstellar interloper appears to be a rocky, cigar-shaped object with a somewhat reddish hue, NASA said in its description of the object. For decades now, we've theorized that such interstellar objects are out there, and now for the first time we have direct evidence they exist, said Thomas Zurbuchen. Nice. All right, let's refresh the page as it completely died on me while we're reading that. All right. Okay, so, he added, this history-making discovery is opening a new window to study information of solar systems beyond our own. And here's the actual book itself, the link. And so from Publishers Weekly, again, it's Extraterrestrial, the first sign of intelligent life beyond Earth. And this is by Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb. So there's the actual the review there. They call that a contentious manifesto. And let's just read the first part of this. Intelligent life is out there, or at least its cast-off equipment is. And it's time Earthlings deal with it, argues Harvard physicist Loeb in this contentious manifesto. The author's concerns are twofold. First, he believes there is evidence for extraterrestrial life. Second, he posits that humans aren't prepared to accept that fact. So, pretty good stuff. Again, this is I brought up Avi Loeb just recently in the other podcast at Troubled Minds, and here he is making waves again. I had no idea he had a book coming out, and I was a little surprised actually to see Oumuamua back in the news, because it did get covered quite a bit during the time. And like I said, Avi Loeb was one of the folks who actually said that this could be a light sail, like some sort of actual like just debris from an alien civilization that's kind of floating around. And pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. So I know that, like I said, we've talked about this ad nauseum, but there's many people that are just learning about this particular podcast and some of these things. So it's good to kind of cover them again and talk about some of the details surrounding this, because it did come and go. And, like everything, the mainstream media, instead of scientifically kind of talking about these things, they just kind of kick it as hard as it's worth for the clickbait value, and then they move on, right? So here we are talking about it. If you guys have, if you've seen this or interested in this Avi Loeb book or whatever's going on, we do this live to include you, because transparency is an important thing to me. 702-957-1037. That is a Las Vegas area code where we're streaming from. You can also click the Discord link and join that way at troubledminds.org. The phone number and the Discord link are there. So what do you guys think? Is this one of those... what do we do about this? Does everybody panic? Is it time for everybody to do their thing and start freaking out? Or do we move on to the next news article?